Something. Uh, I'll try actually. I'm not sure I can able to. I'll just show you the notification. Right? Wait. So this is LinkedIn, and my live was my like last live was on two different platforms, YouTube and LinkedIn. I was confused between LinkedIn and Twitter because Twitter also has a very engaging uh, developers community, so it gets a good amount of engagement. YouTube is an obvious choice. You are not going to skip YouTube, but finally I chose YouTube and LinkedIn because I could only like select two platforms on Restream free. Of course, I can go with OBS, but it's a very big technical hassle. I don't want to go through that right now. Maybe in future. So in my last post, this company called Creds left a comment, and it really made me feel really nice. They are actually doing a great work. Like if you have a certification or if you complete any certification, if you reach out to them, they would make you a nice animation for your celebrating your uh, success, so to speak. So yeah, moving on, we are back to the cat photo app, and we are on the which section? Wait, section 34 means we have done until steps 33. Okay, let's go. So inside the third section, element, add an h2 element in the text of cat form. So we are here. Let me change the brightness. Okay, h2, and we have cat form closing h2, and yeah, it's done. 34 is done. We are on 35. Now we will add a web form to collect information from users. The form element is used to collect information from user like their name, email, and other details. After the cat form heading, add a form. Okay, so we add a form with something like this. Always close your code, and yeah, we are correct. Here I don't think we'll see anything. There's nothing. Yeah, only the h2 of cat form is here. The heading. So the action attribute indicates where from data should be sent. Here is an example of form element with an action attribute. Form action submit URL form. In this example, action equal to submit URL tells the browser that the form data should be sent to the path submit URL. Okay, so it is where the data of the data which the form collects is to be sent somewhere. So we are to action attribute. Uh, mhm. So inside the form we are going to put action attribute, and there we are going to put this URL, and it should be done. From my experience of working in HTML and WordPress, I we are 52% complete. Learn HTML by building a cat photo app. So that thing is 52% complete. Okay, and hmm. so in my like experience of working with WordPress, I have always looked at this form element, and I was absolutely confused what was going on inside that, and I could not understand. That's why I had to use various plugins to get data. But maybe now I'm getting a little clarity, and hopefully in future I would not have to use plugins. I could just simply uh, use my own coding skill to uh, accept data from my user. But let's see. This is the sponsorship ad, which I am going to fill once I finish the pre-free code camp entirely. So we are back again. The input element allows you several ways to collect data from a web form. The img element, like img element input elements are self-closing. Okay, and do not need closing tag. So we have input. That should do. Yes, it's done. Input element. What does it? This is the okay. This it creates a placeholder where people can input some data, whatever phone number and anything. There are many kinds of inputs you can create using the type attribute. Okay, you can easily create a password field reset button or a control to let users select a file from their computer. Create a text field to get text input from a user by adding the type attribute with the value text. So we are putting type attribute to the input element. So input type, I think text. That's how it should be. Okay, I just guessed. I had no idea how to do it, but I guess that's how you to do. Just absolutely guessing because there was no example. In order for a form's data to be assessed by the location specified in the action attribute, you must give the field text field a name attribute and assign it a value to represent data being submitted. Now, of course, like I don't know if I have to fill my address, PIN code, phone number, email ID, whatever, unless I know what it is being asked. So for that, you need a so we have type and then we have name attribute. So we'll put a name attribute and the name attribute will be cat photo URL. Okay. Okay, no, this name attribute is essential for the data to be assessed by the URL where I'm sending the data. Okay. I think somewhere it is going like this is the name of the data which I can recall after it is being sent, I guess. Some advanced concept, but they are trying not to touch on that, it seems, because it's advanced. I get it, kind of get it. Placeholder text. See, I told you that is why we have forms, sorry, plugins for form, and we don't just write code to accept uh, data directly, unless you know how to play around in WordPress code. Placeholder text is used to give people a hint about what kind of information to enter into an input. Placeholder text. Okay, I was confusing name with placeholder text. Now I get it. So now we have placeholder text. This is placeholder and then it's the placeholder. So we'll add a placeholder. Placeholder. Now the placeholder will say what do you want to like. Here we have cat photo URL, and in real time you can see this cat photo URL in the input box. We are good to go. To prevent a user from submitting your form when required information is missing. Okay, you need to add the required information attribute to an like you probably would have seen this in real life as well, where you have some fields with asterisks, and as long as those asterisks are there, you cannot keep them empty and get the form to be like go ahead with the form. You have to fill that. So it's the same thing. So we have a required attribute to the input element, and there's no need to set a value to the required attribute. Instead, just add the word required in the input element, making sure there is space between it and other attributes. So you cannot just type here required. You have to put a space required, and that's and we should put as asterisk, I guess. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, but it is required. Okay, moving on. So the button element is used to create a clickable button, which I know. Add a button with the text submit below the input element. So we have a button element which also are not self-closing as far as I remember. and we have a text of submit. The default behavior of clicking a button without any attribute submits the form to the locations. Okay, the default behavior of clicking a form button without any attributes. It doesn't have any attribute. Submits the form to location specifying the form action attribute. So here the action attribute was this one form action, and which is uh, why the data once you click submit will go back to this. Okay, wait for a second and I'll be back. Okay, we are back and we are done with 61% of the project. So for it, even though you added a button below the text input, they appear next to each other on the page. Exactly. So that's because both input and button elements are inline elements which don't appear on new lines. The button you added will submit the form by default. However, relying on default behavior may cause confusion. Add the type attribute with the value submit to the button to make it clear that it is a submit button. So we'll add a type attribute with the attribute of submit and attribute. Hmm. You can use radio buttons for questions where you want only one answer out of multiple options. Okay, okay. Here's an example. I have used these forms, but I never understood the code behind it, even though I have looked at the code. Now I can. So it's called input type is radio, and we have cat. So remember the input element as self closer. Yeah, I actually forgot, but okay. Uh, for the text input, add radio button before. Okay, let's indent it for a better type. Has to be radio and with the option set as indoor. So we have no, that's just one option. Yeah, should have been at least two, but whatever is required. Now we will label. Label elements are used to help associate the text for any input element with the input element itself. Label elements are used to help associate the text for an input element with the input element, especially for assistive technologies like screen readers. Okay, so this is a label element around the radio. In the example, clicking the word cat will also select the radio button. Okay. The text for an input element, which is this indoor text with the input element especially for assistive technology. So it's like, okay, I got it. So here, if I click on indoor button, it won't click the this circular radio button. But if I put label nested in label, then even if clicking on this indoor text will select the radio button. I got it. Took me some time. I got it. I'm slow, not a failure, as they say. We are cool. So now, clicking on the indoor button will also select the as you can see on my right. Okay, that was slightly more conceptual. Let's go ahead and do the step 46, which is the ID to attribute is used to identify HTML elements. Okay, each ID attribute value must be unique from all other ID values for the entire page. Here is an example of an input element where the ID attribute is input ID something. So add an ID attribute with the value indoor to the radio button where elements have multiple attributes. When elements have multiple attributes, the order of attribute doesn't matter. Yes, I know that. So you can put the ID before type or after type. Does not matter. So ID attribute, but you can't put before input as far as I know. So we have ID and it has to be indoor. So this won't show up like here at all, but this is very important because now you can recall this uh, input element with the ID right here. Like you can style it in a sense in CSS with this ID indoor. How do I know this? Once again, I have seen the backend code of WordPress of many themes. That's why. Create another radio button below the first one. Okay, so we are going to create one more radio button. So but input type is radio, and we have a radio button nested with label element with outdoor as the label text. So first I'll write outdoor, finish the label. Okay, so I haven't started the label. I keep forgetting that input is like IMGSRC and yeah, IMGSRC. This is IMG basically image type. It is self-enclosing label. Okay, so it has a label of outdoor. So if we go down and see, we have a label of outdoor. This one, if I click, it will select. This one, if I click, it selects. Okay, so the that thing is working, which was see I forgot. This is how fast you forget codes. This is why you forget code when you code, even if you code. It's very brain retains very less of the code. Okay, I did forget. Get the radio button and ID attribute with outdoor as the value. Okay, we need a ID attribute on it. Doesn't matter the sequence of the attributes, but whatever. So we'll write outdoor. This is the ID. It should work, but I forgot the code required to make the that thing. Okay, whatever. Moving on. Notice that both radio buttons can be selected at the same time to make it so selecting one radio button automatically selects the other. Does it? Oh yes, yeah, true. True. Uh, both buttons must have a name attribute with the same value. Here is a example. The two radio buttons with the same name attribute. So we have name meal, name meal. So name attribute will do like select only one, not both. Okay. So we'll add a name attribute to it. See, forms are complicated. I told you. Indoor. Oh, it's called indoor outdoor. Indoor outdoor and the same. So I'll just copy and I'll paste it here, and we're done. So now you can only select one, this or this. Okay. So from the overview of the course, when I went back, I realized that uh, if you actually look at the way I'll show you, see, for a noob like me who really doesn't understand much of coding, so I used to think that whenever there's a course where it says we have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I used to think there would be equal amount of HTML, equal amount of CSS and JavaScript. Turns out the HTML part is very, very less. This is the first, let's say, call it a chapter, first project, building a cat photo app. But from there on, we have CSS, the basics of CSS. Then we have CSS colors. Then we have HTML form. So it's a project, but okay. We have some HTML. Then CSS box model. Then we have CSS flex box. Typography building a nutrition label. I think it's CSS again. Learn accessibility building a quiz. So most of the web design part is HTML, HTML. No, it's very less HTML, mostly is CSS. HTML is the skeletal structure of the website, but CSS is how you make it uh, pretty. Basically, that's what it is. And the course is mostly CSS and a very less amount of. So if you can see, build a cat photo app on the basis of HTML and CSS. Later, you learn modern techniques like CSS variable by building a penguin and best practices for accessibility by building a quiz site. Finally, you learn how to make web pages that respond to different screen sizes by building a photo gallery with Flexbox and a magazine article layout with CSS Grid. Okay, I am just looking through some things in here. Yeah, I think I've looked through what I was trying to look through. But going back to what you we were doing already, let's go. So once we are done with this, very soon we are going to leave the HTML part and we are going to be more and more about CSS styling website so that it looks more and more pretty. From there on, we are going to move on to JavaScript in the for the next certification. But that will that's further down the line. First, we will have to finish the CSS part. Hello. Yes. Okay. Hi, Sandeep. Yes, I did. Yeah. Sorry. Uh, I'm not able to understand what you're saying. Can you please repeat? Do I have what membership? Acha, I have FOA. Okay. No, no, I don't. No, no, no. Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay. Okay. Bye. So on most cases, I always get spam calls, but the same the call was actually uh, relevant, so I had to take up. And you probably have heard my conversation with the person. So moving on, we are back here. So it says if you select the indoor radio button and submit the form data for the button is based on its name and value attributes. If you select the indoor radio button and submit the form data for the button is based on its name and value attributes. Okay, name I can see, which is indoor outdoor. Value attribute. Value is not here. So since your radio button does not have value, yeah, the form data will include indoor outdoor on, which is not useful when you have multiple buttons, right? So add a value attribute to both your button. For convenience, set the button's value attribute to the same value as its ID attribute, which is indoor. Yeah, it's for convenience. Doesn't have to be the same. So we have value equals indoor, and here we have doesn't matter where I write value equals outdoor, and yeah, moving ahead. The field set, let me look at the thing. This is they are all in one line, which is very uh, off-putting, but hope we are going to solve that as well. The field set element is used to group related inputs and labels together in a web form. Field set. Okay. Field set elements are block label elements, meaning that they appear on a new line. Nest the indoor outdoor radio buttons within a field set, and don't forget to indent the radio buttons. Okay. Okay. So we have here. So we'll put field set field set. I think that should work. It does. Now we have a one line with a border of some sort for some reason. But okay, moving on. The legend element acts as a caption for the content in the field setting. Okay. It gives users context about what they should enter into the part of the form. The legend element acts as a caption for the content in the field set element. So, okay, it's not an attribute, it's an element. Okay, it gives users context about what they should enter into the part of the form. So add a legend element with the text. Is this cat an indoor or outdoor cat? Okay, so we are going to put a legend element, and the text will be like this: an outdoor and indoor cat. Keep it here. It, and we have legend closing. Okay, and the form looks even more weird with the flex box around it, but I don't know what's going on. Okay, it's not passing, so we did something wrong above both the radio buttons. Above both the radio buttons. So we did for one, we didn't did for two. So यहाँ पे और एक यहाँ पे. Okay, closing tag. It does have closing tags have a dash just after that. I do have that. Okay, there's a spelling mistake. I wrote legend, not legend. So it is legend. Yeah, now it does. So it was my spelling mistake. It still looks funny though, but fine. Okay, once again we have this ad. Okay. Mm, So I was just going through the. I'll share with you. Yeah. So I was just going through this entire curriculum. So if you see, it says earn free certificate, whatever. But I think they forgot to mention, but the sequence is for a reason one, two, three, four, because they want you to go through this entire course in this sequence. And I think previously uh, someone I saw on YouTube yesterday itself, some experienced software uh, engineer or developer, and he also had a YouTube channel with some few thousands of followers. He was criticizing that students of FreeCodeCamp can't build real world projects because they are not being taught GitHub, or they are not being taught about real like how to code in real IDEs basically, which is like we have here Spider. If you, I don't know if you know Spider. It's a uh, coding uh, interface basically, compiler you can call it. So VS Code is also a very famous one, but I don't know. I think the video was must have been a little old, because here on the uh, fifth course of relational database, it says for these courses you will use real developer tools and software including VS Code, Foster SQL, and Linux Unix command line to complete interactive tutorials and build projects. These courses start off with the basic bash commands using the terminal. You will learn everything from navigating and manipulating a file system, scripting in bash, all the way to advanced usage. Create and use a relational database with PostgreSQL. Finally, you will learn Git, the version control system, an essential tool of every developer. I think if you go here, where the Git, the learn Git by including a Git is a control version that keeps track of all the. So it's not GitHub, it's just Git, but we are getting there. Like, uh, I think they have definitely improved the curriculum. Of course, updated the curriculum, and they do update with so much data they are getting from a lot of people like us. I don't think this is anywhere close to being uh, easy in any way. This is cool, and anybody who is going through this uh, has my respect. It's not easy. Doesn't seem like to be. Okay, moving on. Also, one of the courses I was thinking to take on was CS50. CS50 is Harvard University's computer science courses. You can find them for free on EDX, and you can also get free uh, like course completion certificates from there. If you, but you'll have to score like above 70% on all the assignments submitted. I was planning to get that, but I think I'll stick to one platform first, and after I am done with this, I'll start doing that one, because that one was also really interesting, but it's a little overwhelming for people because the concepts are very fast, they're going very fast, and listening is not equals coding, because just now you have seen me forget one concept right after I have done it myself one step before. So this is very common in coding, or even in any kind of uh, new thing that you're trying to learn. It's like the retention of our brain is very very less. The only way you retain something and for a very long time is to repeat itself to yourself multiple times over the time. So I think free code camp is doing a great job of it, because after some time you'll realize that they are going to make you ask like ask you to build projects, and building those projects will require you to go back to the concepts that you have already learned here. So next you're going to add some new form input element. So add another field set element directly below the current field set. So we're going to add one more field set, and we are going to close that field set as well. And that's done. So add a legacy element, legend element, sorry, legend with the text. What's your cat's personality? So we have what's your cat's personality, and we close the legend element. Legend, uh, yes, and done. Moving ahead, we have questions. That forms commonly use checkboxes for questions that may have more than one answer. Okay, the input element with a type attribute set to checkbox creates a checkbox. So we'll do an input element with type of checkbox. This should create a checkbox. You can see, yes, it has created a checkbox. Checkbox element. Input element is self completing like img. Uh, Checkbox and give it the option of loving. Okay, so we have the option of loving. Yes, input element. If I so for that we will need label, right? Oh, we'll need label. So it is label. Wait, we label. Yes, I think that should work. Okay, it does not pass. Its type attribute set to checkbox and give it the option of label. Hmm. You should only have added one input element for your checkbox. Remove any extras. So should I remove the label attribute? Should I? Hmm. Okay. All it needed was a space. What? Okay. Okay. Moving on. Funny. Add an ID attribute with the value loving to the checkbox. So we'll have a ID of it is called loving to identify, and that should do. Yes, it does. There's another way to associate an input element text with the element itself. You can nest the text within a label element and add a for attribute. Okay, so we can nest the input element in label. Okay, okay. Same ID attribute. Fine. So we're going here. So we'll put label for. So associate the text loving with the checkbox by nesting only the text loving in a label element and giving it appropriate for attribute. So you can be anything. So let me put loving. That's the easiest one, right? Hopefully should work. It does. Uh, Mm. I think we are very close to finishing this one, so I'll finish this and then we'll take a break. So add the name attribute with the value personality to the checkbox. So last time we did the name attribute inside here, inside the input element, and we'll do so. Here's the input, and we'll put a name of personality. Uh, while you won't notice this in the browser, doing this makes it easier for a server to process your web form, especially when there are multiple checkboxes. Okay, and we are good. 83% done. We are only 17% away, and then we'll take a break. Add another checkbox after the one you just added. So we'll add one more checkbox. Input type checkbox. Okay, and uh, the ID attribute should be lazy. Okay, wait. So it should be lazy, and the name attribute should be the same as the last. Okay, so that they both are like one of them is selected when the like other is not selected. Personality. Okay, done. Also add a label element to the right of the new checkbox. Okay, I did. Label element with the text lazy with the new checkbox for make sure to associate the label element with the new checkbox using the for attribute. We'll just use for lazy and we'll put lazy. Text lazy has to be capital. Wait, lazy, and we finish it with label. That's how it is looking, but we need a space here. And now we have space here, and it's done. 84%. Okay, still have 16% left. Add a final checkbox after the previous one. Okay, we need one more checkbox. So input type checkbox mm, of energetic. ID attribute energetic. So ID is energetic, and the name value should be same as previous. So name is same. Name is personality. And label element to the right of the new checkbox with text energetic. So we have label for for energetic, and we have energetic, and we close it with label. Label. The code is done. Looks pretty, more or less. Yeah, done. 86%. 14% left. So this app right now looks very untidy, which I think you can fix using CSS or Bootstrap. They start Bootstrap very late on the third course after JavaScript. I guess. Bootstrap is basically divides the uh, website viewing length of your browser, like the viewing length of your device, into certain blocks, and using that you can place various elements on various side of your page, whatever. Okay, like radio buttons, form data for selected boxes are name or value attribute pairs. Hmm. While the value attribute is optional, it's best practice to include it with any checkbox or radio buttons on the page. Add a value attribute each checkbox for a convenience. Set each checkbox value attribute to the same value as its ID attribute. So we'll go here, and here we'll add a value, right? Yeah, our code passes. We are done 87%. In order to make a checkbox checked or radio button selected by default, you need to add the checked attribute to it. Here's an example of radio button with the checked attribute. So it's a checked, just says checked. There's no need to set a value to checked. It's like required. Instead, just add the word checked in the input element or make sure there is space between it and the attributes. Make the first view button and the first checkbox selected by default. So we have the first view button, so we'll just put checked. It is checked now, as you can see on the right. And here, so we'll just put checked and we checked. We are done. Yes, very close to finishing our taking a break, right? Because it's too much. So we are doing the footer. Okay, good. Footer. The footer element is used to, so it's body, then we have footer. Or after main element, we'll adding a footer element. Okay, footer. Find a footer for a document or section. A footer typically contains information about the author of the document. Yeah, I have edited a lot of footer because if you look at WordPress, then you would see that a lot of themes have in the footer they have their own backlinks going back to their own theme website, so that their theme websites are ranked higher. So I never wanted to give them the backlink for free because my websites had good domain authority. So I would just hard code edit the footer of the theme and put my name in it, or my website's name in it, or whatever. Next, a p element with the text no copyright. Exactly, this is how they do. It's a p element. We have to write this one, and in the last line you can see this. We are 9% left. Turn the existing FreeCodeCamp.org into a link by the anchor of a. The HRE attribute should be set to. This is exactly what I used to change. This is now what I'm being made to do. Okay, no issues. A HR wait, href equals this. Okay, I'm just taking the entire thing, but that's not the instruction. Only this part of it, and we are good to go. Only this link needs to be copied here, and you're done. Yes, 7% left. Notice that everything you have added to the page so far is inside the body element. All page content elements that should be rendered to the page go inside the body element. However, other important information goes to the head. Yes, the head element is used to contain metadata about the document, such as its title, links to style sheets, scripts, Metadata is information about the page that isn't displayed directly on the page. Add a head element above the body element. Okay, indent it. Add a head. That should do the job. I think we should close the head as well. This should, yeah. I knew we have to close, but I thought they won't cause a fuss about it, but they did. The title element determines what browsers show in the title bar or tab for the page. Title elements. This is also very important key skill if you are an SEO, because the title is what you will see on the Google search results. So it's very important to have the keywords of your SEO article on this title page. From that angle, I know this. Okay, so we add a title element here, and we also, of course, have to close the title element, and we'll write cat photo app as instructed. Cat photo app. We are done, and 4% left. Finish. The entire content page are nested within the HTML element. The HTML element is the root element of the HTML page and wraps all the content page. You can also specify the language of your page by adding the lang attribute to the HTML element. So we can add lang. This I haven't used, but I have seen people with n is English to the opening HTML tag to specify that the page is in English. Done. Almost done. All pages should begin with the doc type HTML. This special string is known as declaration and ensures browsers tries to meet industry-wide specifications. This thing also I have seen in a lot of. Is it zero? Is it O? I don't know. It's O, capital O. I have seen this on many pages, but I just never understood what they were meant. Now I guess. So this special string is known as declaration. So it's a declaration and ensures the browser tries to meet industry-wide specifications. Okay, it is 99% done. What's the 1% that's left? This you can set browser behavior by adding self-closing meta elements in the head. This is exactly how you add pixels as well. So meta attribute. Inside the head attribute, we have uh, inside the head element nest a meta element. So we'll add meta with the attribute named char set. Set the value to UTF-8, which tells the browser how to encode characters for the page. Note the meta elements are self-closing. So this with that last one, you have completed the cat photo app project. Congratulations. Thank you. So inside the head element, so basically what does it do? It's a browser behavior. So we are setting the character set to the value UTF-8, which tells the browser how to encode characters of the page. Okay. It's an encoder basically. Okay. I don't understand it fully, but okay, there's a nice animation there, and there's a tweet which it says that you can let me open the. I have completed learn HTML by building a cat photo app, and this is FreeCodeCamp. So yeah, I'll tweet this. I don't mind. FreeCodeCamp is free. At least the minimum I can do is share a tweet about it. So we are done 100%. I'll submit and go to the next challenge. So it goes to the home page, the learn page, which is nice with this ad again coming up. It was a nice experience. There were a lot of attributes in the form element, but it was worth it. So yeah, this is entirely done. Now we have to move on to learn the basic CSS by building a cafe menu. We'll do it in the next stream, probably today, after taking a little bit of break. Okay.